Hello everybody, it's Tall23 back in another video. This is episode 6 of the Teaching French series. Today I'm going to be talking about adjectives in French. It's kind of complicated, not really, but there's some things that there are a lot of things I need to explain. It's not like how adjectives are in English, and if you don't know what an adjective is, well you should, but just to describe it, an adjective is a describing word. So in English, this blue bottle, this black microphone, this soft paper, or whatever. Those are soft, black, blue, bumpy, hard, difficult, easy, delicious, tall, short, fat, things like that. Those are all adjectives because they describe a noun. But in French, there are really two ways that you can write these nouns. So you can either do it before, and that's why I have this folded over like this. Okay, you can either, there's some adjectives where you write the adjectives before the noun, and there are some adjectives where you have to write them after. And then there are also some which you can place before or after, but it changes the meaning if you place them differently. So all of these before verbs, or not all of them, is actually one which can be placed in both, but most of these words here, if you place it after, that would just be improper for grammar because they come before. That's just the way it works. I don't know why, maybe there's an explanation, but this is just how you do it, and it's the same thing for the after verbs. If you place them before, then if you're speaking to a French person, it's not going to make any sense to them. So these before adjectives, starting off with, and I'm going to explain what they are, but also each one has their own form in masculine and feminine and plural, and it needs to agree in gender and number with the noun. So if you're talking, I'm going to give an example for this first one. Actually, no, I'm going to do this one right here, right above my finger. Vieux, okay? That means old. So it needs to agree. Actually, no, I am going to do the first one because it's easier to tell because they're different for all of them. If I'm talking, okay, so beau, belle, beau and belle, they mean beautiful. So if you're talking about a person, this would have to be a masculine object. So let's just, if you're talking about a man, it would have to be beau. If you're talking about a woman, it would have to be belle. If you're talking about multiple people, if the object is, or if the noun is masculine, then it would be this, and if the noun is feminine, it would be this. So you have to change that in your writing. A lot of the times they sound exactly the same when you're speaking them, so not much of a problem there, but when you're writing French, you have to make sure to spell it correctly based on agreeing with gender and number. So the first one, as I said, beau, belle, beau, and belle is a word that means beautiful, and it has to come before the noun. The next one is jolie, and it's pronounced the same even with the e. Jolie, 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 and jolie. Again, this has a similar meaning, but you have to place it before. I don't want to keep saying that, but jolie means pretty, beau means beautiful. The next one is vieux, viel, vieux, and viel again, and that means old, as I already said. The next one, I only wrote two because this is the same in both feminine and masculine. Same in feminine and masculine for plural. It's jeune, and that means young. So you could be you could say old man. That's he is an old man. That would be il est. I remember how you have to put it before. So il est un vieux homme. He is an old man. But if it's a young man, say il est un jeune homme. Next would be petit, petite, petit, and petite. That means small. And then the next one, grand, grande, grande, and grande means tall or big. It could mean tall or big. And there's another word that has a similar meaning to tall down later on this list. The next one is I've talked about before. It's bone, 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 and bone. I know they all kind of sound the same, but again, they're spelled differently, and it's different for depending on the noun, the gender and number of the noun, and that means good. The next one, mauvais, mauvaise, mauvais, and mauvaise, that means bad. Okay, so you have good and bad. Next one, gentil, gentile, that means nice. Nice as in, and there's nice in English has multiple different meanings. You could use joli for nice when it's referring to, like, man, that sunset looks nice. Like looking nice or something appears nice or something like that. But when it comes to nice as in kind, like I'm being kind to you or whatever, then it would be gentil. The next one is haute. That means high. So it's similar to grand, but specifically referring to high. So grand could be big in any form. It could be tall, big, fat, and gros is the technical word for fat, but just big in general, big in size would be grand. Haute is specifically tall or height or high or something like that. The next one is one of those which can go before or after. It's pauvre. Okay. If it's before, it means poor, as in the sense of like, oh, that poor person. But if it's after, it still has the meaning or the translation of poor, but it means poor as in not rich, not having that much money. So I'm going to try and think of an example. It's not going to be that different from what I said earlier with vieux and jeune. If you're going to say he is a poor man, as in like, oh, that poor man, he's so terrible, I feel pity on him or whatever, I don't know. Something like that. You would say, il est un pauvre homme. But if it was after, if he's just not rich, if he's poor in regards to money, you would say il est un homme pauvre. So you put the pauvre after homme and not before. I hope that makes sense. The next one is the final one on the before list. It's affreux or affreux. That means awful. Now with the after, and before I go into the after list, I want to talk about another example of adjectives which would go before or after the noun, and that would be ancien is my example. That, and it's just spelled exactly, the masculine form is spelled exactly like ancient in English, but without the T at the end. And you'd use that when it's before, so when it's before something, it would be former. So if you're talking about like, and the basic meaning of it is old, okay, just like ancient, but it would only refer to something old if it's after the noun. So let me give an example in English. If you're saying, that's my old car, what you're basically saying is that's my former car. If you're going to say that, what would that be? That is, say ancien. Wait, that is okay. Say ma ancienne voiture. Okay, that's my former car. But if you're saying that is an old car, like that model or whatever is old, or it was produced a long time ago, then you would have it after. So you'd say, say ma voiture ancienne. So now going to after, the after adjectives. The first example I have is propre. That means clean. The next one is faute. It'd be pronounced for without. Remember, you don't pronounce the T. I'm not saying it in I'm trying not to say it in a French accent either. You don't really need to say it in an accent as long as you get the pronunciation right. But fort is the next one. Or that, I mean, it's yeah, fort or fort is means strong. So you'd say a strong person. Again, make sure it agrees with gender and number. Next one is delicio or delicios. That means delicious if you couldn't tell. The next one, intéressant or intéressante. That means interesting if you couldn't tell. You know, some of these words look pretty similar to what it is in English. The next one is ennuyeux or ennuyeux. That means boring. The next one is something that you probably heard of, mignon or mignon. That means cute. So you may have heard of the phrase filet mignon, or the words filet mignon, okay, referring to a type of steak. That would technically translate to cute filet, but it could also mean tender or delicate or something like that. But the basic meaning of mignon is cute. So he is a cute dog. Il est, and it has to go after. So il est chien mignon. Il est un chien mignon. He is a cute dog. Next one is facile. That means easy, and then difficile looks like the word difficult because that's what it means, difficult or hard. And then here we have a list of things which I don't really have all. I have one example, but anything which has to do with shape. So my example is circulaire, which means circular if you couldn't tell. Anything with rectangulaire, rond, which means round. All of those, everything that pertains to shape, would go after the noun. Things like nationalities and religion. My example is japonais. That is the feminine form of Japanese. It would be japonais, français, anglais, anglaise, chinois, chinoise. That's Chinese. And then religion, Catholic. All of these would go after the noun. And then any colors as well. I'm going to make I think the next video or one of the upcoming videos. No, I have like a list of episodes I'm going to do. One of the upcoming videos in the next few weeks will be on colors specifically. It's not a hard topic, but, you know, I don't think I should address all of that in a video about something else. So I'm going to talk about it in one video. But one example would be, and if you know Spanish, I mean, some people have heard Spanish names for colors. If you know Spanish, you know that green in Spanish is verde. Okay, it's very similar in French. Okay, you have vert, and then same thing with the plural. That means green. You have bleu for blue, rouge for red, and things like that. You may have heard of a lot of these. So those are the main adjectives. Obviously, there are a lot of adjectives. There's a lot of adjectives in English. There are going to be a lot of adjectives in French. In order to say all of them, I would have to make a 3-hour video. But these are the ones that you probably use the most. Okay, so I'm going to read them again. I'm going to read them specifically in their masculine singular form, so I don't have to like read all of them, and then I'm going to give you the meaning just going over it again without showing the paper. Beau means beautiful. Joli, pretty. Vieux, old. Jeune, young. Petit, small. Grand, tall or big. Bon, good. Mauvais, bad. Gentil, nice. Haut, high. Pauvre, which means poor, or both in rich and poor as in like somebody who suffers. Affreux, which means awful. And then the adjectives which go after the noun. Propre, which means clean. Fort or fort, that would be strong. Délicieux, that means delicious. Intéressant, that means interesting. Ennuyeux, that means boring. Mignon means cute. Facile, that means easy. difficile, that means difficult or hard. Circulaire, rectangulaire, rond, any shape. Circular, rectangle, round, things like that. Any shape would go after. Japonais, Chinois, Anglais, Français, Quebecois, Allemagne. Wait, what was it? I think it's Allemagne would be, or maybe that's the word. I can't remember if it's a word for Germany or the word for Germans, but nationalities and religion would go after, and then colors like vert would go after. So that's the French adjectives, and then of course ancien for before or after, and there's some other ones that go before or after, like seul. That means if it's before, it could be only. If it's after, it means lonely. So you're talking about a lonely person, personne seul. If you're talking about the only person, seule personne. So I hope this video was helpful with understanding French adjectives. You just have to make sure, first of all, that you're getting it right in the placement. Okay, so most of the time, words that describe appearance, age, size, things like that would go before, and then, as I said, shapes, nationalities, colors, and then pretty much everything else which doesn't fit in those other categories would go after. And then you just have to kind of learn the other ones which you can go before or after. And then you also have to pay attention to the gender and numbers to make sure that it agrees with the noun. So if the noun is, I'm just going to give an example, maison, because I'm looking at a house. Maison means house. If you're talking about a singular house, okay. Oh, what example could I use for here? Okay, a tall house, okay, or a big house, okay, grand. If house is masculine, okay, maison is masculine, but it could also have an S. So if you're saying le grand maison, and then you would have to add the S if it's les grandes maisons, because there's more than one houses that you're talking about, so it has to agree in gender and number. And just a better example probably for something which has masculine and feminine forms, chat or chat, which means cat, C-H-A-T or C-H-A-T-T-E. If it's a masculine cat, if it's a male cat, it would be chat. And let's just say the bad cat, okay? It would be mauvais chat, okay? But if it was a female cat, it would be mauvaise chat. Or mauvaise chat, rather. And then if there's more than one male cat, you would say, again, mauvais chat. And then if there's more than one female cat, you would again say mauvaise chats. Okay, so hopefully what I'm saying here makes sense to you. It makes sense to me, but then again, I've been studying French for like 2 years, so I just have to try and explain it now. Or I don't have to, but I want to. So thank you everybody for watching, and goodbye.